Welcome back, everyone, to Christina's Clairvoyant Cafe. I wanted to talk to you about indigo children in this session. Make sure you go and get yourself a cup of coffee and have chill out time with me as we discuss it. So, what are indigo children? A lot of people ask me, why am I here? What's my purpose? And indigo children are a group of children that were born between 1970 and the year 2000. So right now, you're probably looking at people from age 50 to about 20 years old. And mind you, there's not like a cut off. It's not like a switch that goes off that all of a sudden these indigo kids are born and then they stop coming in. Some of us come in a little early and some of us will come in a little late. So we have this, I call them the stragglers, and then the early ones. So, but the majority of indigo children come at this time, in this time frame. And indigo is the color of the third eye, and the reason why these kids are called indigos is because they are very psychic. They can see ghosts. They're very sensitive to their surroundings, very empathic, and they're connected to past lives as well. So that third eye connection is so clear for an indigo. And a lot of times they get singled out socially. It can be very difficult for an indigo kid to have lots of friends. Usually they have one or two really close friends and that's it. They usually don't have groups of people, large groups of people that they get along with. They're usually kind of loners or feel alone. But at the same time, they're truth seekers. They are all about what's right, what's fair, what's just. And they're constantly asking why. So when these indigos are young, they'll always ask, why do we do this? And why do we do that? And why are you talking to this person? And blah, blah, blah. Like they'll ask you all kinds of questions because they want to know why. They want to know, why do we do the things we do? And then as they get older, they usually question, why are we doing things in our lives? Why are we making certain choices? We're doing, like following in social paradigms when it doesn't work. So they can't stand watching or doing things over and over again that aren't getting good results. Like, why do we do it? There's no reason to do it because they're always looking at life from outside the box. They're so amazingly intelligent. Indigos are sensitive and brilliant at the same time. Now, a lot of times, a lot of indigos have problems with, when they're young, having anger issues or being really shy, like feeling like they don't fit in. So if you were young and you had this feeling like anger or trying to hold your anger or being super shy and like repressing yourself when you were young, that could be because you're an indigo. Now, a lot of indigos have almond-shaped eyes. That's how you know who they are. They usually come into life with little self-esteem. They're always questioning themselves whether or not they're doing the right thing, and they have a really strong connection with mom. In all the readings that I've ever done all these years, I found that indigo children are usually super highly connected to the mom more than the father. The father usually doesn't understand them. but it's usually the mom that is compassionate and understanding the indigo, because sometimes the mom is an indigo as well. So a lot of indigos will go to an indigo parent so that they would understand them. But 9 times out of 10, I don't think I've ever met an indigo that was connected to the dad. They're always connected to the mother. And in that connection, there is a contract. So the contract stipulates, basically, with a indigo child and a mom, where the mom has to be supportive of the indigo child and give them love, but also structure, needs to guide them firmly and hold them accountable, but also give them love. So indigos need a very balanced mother. So if the mom doesn't hold them accountable, it can be very difficult for the indigo child. Like if the mom doesn't care what they do and they can come and go as they please and whatever, the indigo child will feel like they're not cared for. And they like that. They like the structure from the parents. They need it. It makes them feel like they're loved, like they're needed. Now, because they're so strong and feel so separated from people in society, like people they grow up with in classrooms, students, as they get older, they are usually labeled by doctors or society with having ADD or ADHD. Sometimes they're mildly autistic. Some of them have Asperger's. And it's really not that there's something wrong with them. Like we want to, society wants to label them that they're so different that there's something wrong with them. So they give them this negative label. And it's hard for them to get through it. It's hard for them to overcome that negative label because they feel like there's something wrong with them. And in fact, there's nothing wrong with an indigo. It's that they're brilliant and they see things from outside the box and they're truth seekers. And what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to change the way that we live and interact with the indigo and not get them to conform. We are supposed to change the way that we do things that don't work so that we can support our indigo kids. Now, I have an indigo kid. He's amazing, super brilliant. He's a chiropractor now. And they are such lovey-doveys. They want to be loved. They have big hearts. They care about people. So there was a story, something that happened to my son when he was young. And he was running out of money for his lunch money. I'll never forget this. He was running out of lunch money and it would be gone like in a couple days. And I would say to him, like, all of a sudden, I saw the money getting depleted from his account and we'd keep refilling it and he'd keep depleting it. And finally we sat down with him and said to him, and he must have been like 10, probably 8 or 10 years old. And we said to him, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with this money? We're like, we keep putting money in your account. And he said, well, I have friends that they forget their lunch and their parents forget to refill their accounts. So then they're hungry and they don't get any lunch. So I'm buying them lunch. And he said that, and I was just, my heart wanted to explode when he said it. And so really, that's an indigo for you. Like it's all about, this isn't fair, and these kids are hungry, and I have money in my account. I'm gonna buy them lunch. So what do you say to that? Like, what do you say to, your kid, and then we're just like, okay, just do whatever you feel you need to do to help these kids. So that's an indigo, and indigo has such a big heart, and they're so caring and so loving, and they can be viewed as so sensitive. Sometimes the father can view an indigo as being weak because they're so sensitive. And it's so great to have a person that's caring and sensitive like that. It doesn't have to be, tough and, mean and, controlling or whatever. Especially a man, especially a boy. But we do have females that are indigos too. So another telltale sign that you might have an indigo is they're really connected to like fighting, maybe swords, guns, things like that. I know it sounds weird because they have a big heart, because they couldn't hurt a fly, but they love kung fu, karate, taekwondo, things like that. Anything has to do with fighting, because in other lifetimes they were soldiers and warriors. And when these indigos come into this lifetime, a lot of times when they're little, if they don't sleep at night, and this could be you, if you were known to have terror nightmares at night and just wake up in the middle of the night yelling and screaming, and it was hard to calm you down or your kid down, that was because they were reliving a past experience being a soldier or warrior and where they were killed. They were reliving that nightmare of dying in another lifetime. And that, again, is the third eye. The third eye is all about seeing. They see themselves in a past life. Again, like my son, I'll talk about him. One time he had a dream, and he told me that he was a soldier, and he had armor on, and he had chainmail on. And we were able to go and investigate online what type of armor he was wearing, what chainmail he was wearing, and actually the sword that he was carrying. And we found out that the sword had some type of symbol, or the way it was forged actually showed the lineage of what army he was in. It was amazing. And it was so vivid for him, so detailed, that we looked up that information. And it told us that, he was this warrior in a past life. So in this lifetime, you can see, I can see how he has that, still has that knight warrior energy within him. And he's just he's just one example. Like, there's so many people that I meet, grown or young or whatever, in all different age ranges, that are these indigos. And the biggest thing is that they want justice. They want things to be right. They can't stand lies. You cannot lie to an indigo, because they will hold it against you. You have to really make sure that if you're going to tell them something, you have to follow through with it. They are old souls. They've been here over and over and over again in many different lifetimes. They embrace change. So they like change because, especially if things are not right or not just or fair. Right now, with all the protesters and everything going on during COVID, that's when I'm recording this, you can see, I can see the indigos out in the streets, the indigos saying, this is not fair, this is not just. And that's just part of what they do. They change and break down social reform. They bring reform to the world, break down government, break down the way that we live that isn't right, so that we can start new. Phoenix breaking down, burning down into the ashes and rising anew is one of their biggest totems. They're really connected to the phoenix. They're super brilliant, super intelligent. They have amazing imagination. You might be checking off all these boxes as I'm explaining them too. Whether it's your kid or you could be an indigo as well. The biggest thing is just big hearts. There's a lot of people who are or were indigos that created change, massive change. So Einstein was a really early indigo. He was here, I think, too early. He was so different, and he couldn't get along with people. He had a wife, and he couldn't get along with her, and he had kids, and then he ended up living with his cousin because he just, I guess, because he couldn't get along with anybody. But he was very intelligent, but he had social issues. A lot of indigos can do that. They can feel like they have to retreat or hide away from people. They super sensitive. Anxiety has a huge part to do with indigos. If they're anxious about their surroundings or people, they're always on edge, always looking around, always paying attention to their surroundings, and trying to protect themselves. So that's another indigo trait that they might have. Another person that was an indigo was Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs changed the world. He was intelligent, and he changed everything with the phone that I'm recording my video on, and music and everything. He changed so much, and people didn't understand him. And he had a vision. And he was adamant that he wanted to create this vision and see the intelligence, but he was doing it because he felt that it was right, that we needed to progress. And a lot of indigos love technology. They love anything that has possibilities, the science in technology. They just love that stuff. And they might be connected to the occult or new age things. They really like stuff like that. Ghost stories, because they can see ghosts. Indigos can see dark spirit beings that are here trapped on the earth. It's not always good that they see these ghosts. A lot of times kids will say, there's somebody in my room. I don't want to stay in my room. And they'll be afraid, and it's true. There's actually a ghost that's in their room that they see. It's a dark entity. But if we teach these kids self-esteem, if we teach them that they have the power to send that ghost away, that they have the power to change the world, they have the power within them that they can do anything they want. Michael Phelps is another indigo. Another person, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, is an indigo. These are textbook. They're connected to their mom. They're, Mark Zuckerberg was the rebel. He had to do something because he created Facebook because he was mad at his girlfriend or whatever. And he created it so that he could help everybody be able to see who they're talking to. It's just incredible. And he changed the world with it. He changed it. So these are indigos. And a lot of times indigos, sometimes they can procrastinate. They have procrastination issues. They wait things out too long. They second guess themselves. And another thing that indigos tend to do sometimes is want to make other people feel good, or maybe they maybe they're so empathic that they put themselves on the back burner to make other people feel better. So, and that's tough on an indigo, because eventually that resentment builds up in their heart, and it really affects them. So they have to have, if you're an indigo, you really need to know that you matter and that you're important and that you're here to make a difference. A lot of indigos have 1s and 5s in their birthdays. So you could be born on the 14th. You could be born on the 1st or in January. You could be born in May and have a 5. So, and you can also add the month and the day together, and if it equals a 10 or a 5, breaks down into a 5 energy. Because in numerology you have to take, like say if it's 14, you have to take the 1 and the 4, add it together, and it makes a 5. So if you're born on January 13th and you add 1, 1, and 3, that's a 5. So that 5 number usually is connected to indigos. And every time I've done readings on indigos, it's always 1s and 5s, 1s and 5s always comes up. So indigos are meant to be leaders, and that's what the 1 stands for. They're meant to stand out. They're not meant to conform. They're not meant to be a sheep. They're supposed to lead people in truth and justice and be caring and not smash people over the head with their own agenda. It's really about creating an environment where you're all working together as a team for a common goal. So that 1 energy of independence is really important. Also, indigos need to lead and need to be the boss. So a lot of indigos have their own business. They have their own, maybe they're in charge or CEO of a company or corporation. They have to lead in some way. Manager, supervisor, someone in charge. They have to lead in some way. So if you are an indigo and you're not leading, you need to lead because it's part of your purpose. And the 5 energy is solving problems. So 5, you could get caught up in the drama. You could get caught up in chaos, because that's the negative of the 5, being caught up in all the drama in the world and everything. But the positive of the 5 is what indigos need to focus on. And that positive of the 5 is a problem solver, is the detective, is to find out, is to seek out answers and create solutions. It's so important for an indigo to do that, create solutions. So whether you're doing that at work, whether you're doing it at home, maybe you have an indigo child and you see this kid, in turmoil or things going on, and maybe you're an indigo parent, and if you have that 5, it's about, we have to fix this, we have to solve this, we have to find a solution. So the 1 and the 5 together in the negative can be procrastination, but remember that you need to use the positive of your energy. And the positive of it is to be a leader, to make change, bring change, be just, follow what's fair and what's right, walk the walk, talk the talk, but also find solutions. Find solutions to your problems and to your loved ones' problems. Help to find solutions to overcome these challenges. That's what's so important about indigo children, is that they're like a dog with a bone. They got to find out. They got to make a difference. They have such determination once they get focused on a goal. And if say you have a young kid and he's an indigo or she's an indigo, they don't know what direction to go in with their lives, a lot of times indigos, it takes them a little bit longer. It might take them a few years until they figure out what they want to do or where they want to go. But once they figure it out, it's like they're like a bullet. They're going to go for it, and they're going to be determined, and they're just amazing. But remember, if you're a mom of an indigo, they need your love, your support, your encouragement, but also you need to hold them accountable. And it's not about, they can't stand negative talk. They can't stand criticism in a negative way. It bogs them down. They are already self-critical. So for someone to criticize an indigo is just debilitating. So please, if you know of an indigo, or if you are an indigo, you have to block any negative emotional feelings or speech to the indigo, because it'll just break them down. They already are self-criticizing, and it's about uplifting them, giving them the courage, pushing them forward, pushing them that they can do it, but then also, really holding their feet to the fire. And one of the biggest things you could say to an indigo is, I love you, you're intelligent, you're brilliant, but I may not like what you're doing. You might want to rethink that. What do you think about karma? Because they do believe in karma. So, and you can talk to them and say, look, you have guides that are around you. Guides are really tight with indigos. The guides are super, super close to them because they're there to really support them and have them direct their life into their purpose. So the guides are super tight with indigos. They can hear them, they know that they're around them. And if they don't, introduce, that information, introduce them, say to them, they have guides, they have angels, they have support, divine support team helping them, and they'll believe it because they love that kind of spiritual information. They love it. Anything that has to do with that. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this answered some of your questions about indigo kids. I will be doing another video on the next generation of kids, the next army, which is the crystal kids, in one of my next videos. So please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be doing more and more videos on all kinds of spiritual knowledge and things that I've learned in all the years that I've been doing my work. I am a psychic medium, and I've been doing it for the past 18 years now. Please like and subscribe. Check out my Facebook page, and you can also sign up for my newsletter. And the newsletter gives you a message for the week and also connects different information that you can click on. If you'd like to get a reading, you can check that out, and different things that we have going on at the Inner Light Center. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and have a great day. Namaste.